Live.
Hi, everybody. A great afternoon. And yes, we are back with our success stories series. And today we have a very interesting theme for the webinar, which is empowerment of teachers in NEP. So I want to start this webinar with a question to all my dear friends out there. So how many of you think that teachers today are not just teachers, but they're able planners, data analysts, collaborators, curriculum experts, problem solvers, learners, researchers as well? So just type in yes if you think yes, the teachers are actually taking up so many roles. I want to see a lot of yes on the chat box. So in all honesty, the truth is that teachers have been COVID heroes of these unprecedented times. They've donned many hats, played many roles, and successfully unlocked many schools. So we would like to dedicate this webinar to all the teachers out there. So again, once again, welcome all of you on behalf of School Skies and APJ Consultancy. This is Dr. Pramina Jagdish, founder School Skies, and we are excited to have 500 participants here for our event today, and I'm sure you have a lot of interesting takeaways. So now quickly coming to the flow of the meeting, we have one very engaging success story, that of the school Rudrappa Swami. It's a new age school and it is also a new school started just this year. And despite a lot of unprecedented events, it's been running very successfully. And we have Mrs. Premila Jaishankar to talk about their school. Our second speaker is going to be Dr. Ajit Prasad Jain, and he's here to going to clear all our doubts. So please keep shooting your questions to him. And lastly, I'd like to give you some touch points on digital empowerment for teachers. So without much ado, let me welcome our first speaker for the day, Mrs. Premila Jaishankar, Principal Rudrappa Swami School. She comes with an amazing experience, teaching experience of close to 28 years. And she's been a speaker in a number of international conferences. And what really caught my eyes is that what is interesting is that she has got an experience of guiding physically challenged kids towards the board exams. So she's going to share with us how Rudrappa Swami School is actually unlocked and functional even in these unprecedented times. And I am very proud that School Skies is their technology partners. And ma'am, we're really looking at a very long journey with Rudrappa Swami groups. And so with that, it's such an honor to have you, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you, Pravina. I thank you and thank you for the opportunity to share the success story of Rudrappa Swami. It is an associate school of Maharishi Vidya Mandir Faithful. I would like to share the reason behind our school name, Rudrappa. Sri Rudrappa Swami was born in Kovilpatti in the district of Thoothukudi. He had a passion to become a teacher at a very early age. After his graduation, he became a teacher and many Best Teacher Award. He was greatly inspired by the preaching of Mahatma Gandhi and added strength to the Quit India movement in Kovilpatti. The school has raised so high in his name to remember him and to fulfill his dreams and spread his teachings of patriotism, Indian culture, and value among children. The school is run by Appasamy Educational and Healthcare Trust. Our chairman, Thiru Appasamy, and our correspondent, Ma'am Dr. Prasanna, and other members of the Appasamy Associates never hesitate to extend their hand to support for the betterment of the school. Our main aim and objective of our school is to prepare our students to become a responsible citizen and care and respect for the elders, ability to work as a team. We want to develop team spirit among the students, ability to apply knowledge and skills, whatever they have learned in their day-to-day life, to develop good communication skill to express them better, to set goals and to work for it, and to have a positive mind. It is easy as far as the School Skies, we are in touch with School Skies and we have a tie-up with School Skies, and it is easy as a principal, it is easy for me to communicate to the parents, and we are able to send the answer, the homeworks, the assignments, and we can have a full profile about the students as well as the parents and also the teachers. So teachers are able to send their homeworks through School Skies, and it is very easy. And the one more advantage of School Skies is online admissions, and we can issue bona fide certificates, send homeworks and assignments and projects. Parents can log in into the ID and then check whatever assignment the teacher has given for that particular day. Even the marks are uploaded in the website. So it's easy for us. So School Skies is a great support for us, and we are able to communicate with the parents even during the lockdown. And I would like to tell about our teachers. We have a strong team of teachers, and students enjoy the online classes with enthusiasm. To reduce the stress in the online classes, we have included karate, yoga, and music, art, and science. Apart from the subject science and socials, we have introduced karate, Western dance, etc. So that children are feeling very happy. So in the observation class, when I see, I feel that most children are able to participate in the online classes where there is a full strength in the Western dance class or in the karate class or the art class. So children, there is less stress for them during the online class when we take around 1 hour or 2 hours from 9:30 to 1 o'clock, when we are giving at a stretch of the major subjects. Children feel very difficult to go. So we have introduced light periods also in between so that they can enjoy the class. So it's a stress-free class for them. We have included yoga also for the online class. We have received a lot of appreciation from the parents. Parents also attend the online class along with the children, and they have sent a lot of appreciations, emails, telling about our school teachers. So really, I'm very happy. And the success behind the school is because of the strong teachers. Those are experienced teachers, and they also make the class live by adding videos and pictures, and instead of just talking or giving a lecture about the topic, they also add a few videos in the online classes and to make the class very interesting. And our academic support is completely given by Maharishi Vidya Mandir, and we follow creative curriculum for KG children, pre-KG children, and exceed curriculum for LKG and UKG children. For first standard to fifth standard, we have a curriculum which is completely prepared by the Maharishi teachers, and it is exclusively for the Maharishi group of schools. And for 6th to 8th standard, we follow NCERT based syllabus like Oxford for English and social, and NCERT syllabus for science, and so this is how whatever is given in the Maharishi schools, and the same way we follow here also. And I would like to share the infrastructure details about our school. We have a very beautiful building, and around 42 classrooms are there. All the classrooms are well ventilated and AC classrooms. And we have a beautiful Jnana Vinayagar temple in front of the school and in the entrance of the school. So children can worship the Lord Ganesha before going into the school. And this is our indoor play kids area, and for the KG children. And this is our well ventilated KG classrooms. And each KG classrooms, in KG classrooms, we have 2 teachers, and 20 for every 25 students, we have 2 teachers. On the next one, we have the higher classes and middle school classes and primary classes. The classrooms are all AC classrooms, well ventilated classrooms. And this is a corridor, wide corridor we have, and with all the safety measures. And this is a multi-purpose hall where we can accommodate more than 400 students. And this photograph is taken during the parent meet. Like many parents came for the meet. We had an open meet in the month of March, and many parents they came for the meeting, and really we got good admissions this year. And we have a lot of best partners. Yes, the next one is the lab. We have a separate lab for physics, chemistry, and biology. And for now, we have the composite lab for standard 1 to 8. The next picture is also a lab. And the library is a very spacious library with more than 5,000 books. And we have a reading room also for the library. So we want children to read more books, and reading, we want to inculcate the reading habits among the students. The next, we have the Appasamy clinic inside our school, and all the classrooms are AC classrooms with the Neo Touch smart boards. So children like to enjoy the class only when it is very interactive, rather than the teacher only telling something and the children are passive listeners. So here you can see we have interactive smart boards in all the classrooms. And this photo was taken on the day when there was a parent meet, where many children came in front of the board and they were doing some puzzles and things. So this is our school uniform. Children will look smart in the school uniform. It's a Turkish blue t-shirt with a skirt and a trousers, ash color trouser. So our educational partners, we are in tie-up with the Rorito Handwriting Quiz, Lions Clubs International for the SFA program, Skills for Adolescent program, and GATE Quiz, Cambridge and GETS exams. We want to give, the students the training for the Cambridge exams, and they will be appearing for the KET, PET, and FCE levels. Standard children will appear for the KET level, and 7th standard children will be appearing for the PET level, and 8th standard for the FCE level. Primary students will be appearing for the GETS UK based exams. We have Only Success Leadership Academy, and also we have Wordsworth English Lab. Yes, the next picture is for the special activity. So special activity, every week they will be having 2 classes. We have Western dance, classical dance, roller skating, gymnastics, archery, and tabla. So children can choose one activity, and that activity will be conducted every 2 days in 2 periods in a week. And this is only to remove the stress. Children should enjoy coming to school. They should also learn. They should also develop some skills. So that's why we are using the, included special activity along with the curriculum. So all this is the best practices of Rudrappa school. So we have personal attention, healthcare is there, clinic is there inside our school, and we have Leap Start programs. We have all the extracurricular and co-curricular activities. So children from 1st standard to 8th standard all should take part in the extracurricular and co-curricular activities, and they have to take part in scouts. If it is a girl child, she should take part in the guides program. We will train them to go for the President Award as well as the Governor Award. So these are the best practices of our school. So thank you, Praveena, for giving this opportunity. And we have, though we have started the school in the month of June, our children participated in competitions and they have won prizes. So within a short span of time, the school is able to run with a full-fledged class, online classes, and really your school skies is of great support to us, and be able to communicate to the parents very easily. Parents are also very happy with the system. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that was wonderful. So thank you for all those kind words on School Skies, and we're grateful to be part of your school unlocking education to so many students. And of course, I think Rudrapa Swami, it reminds me of a sprawling campus, excellent curriculum, and completely digital. So I think that's what is really making you stand out from the rest of the schools, or probably that's why you're having so many admissions. So wonderful to have you here, and thank you for the wonderful story that you had narrated to us. And definitely we're looking forward to a long journey with you. So
we were very much worried whether we will be getting admissions during the lockdown time. But when we are explaining it to the parents, no, really they are eagerly coming into us.
Very nice.
How the school has grown now.
Very nice. Very, very heartening to hear that. So thank you, ma'am, once again. And so we will quickly move on to our next speaker, Dr. Ajit Prasad Singh, ex-governing member, CBSE Delhi National Awardee, Director of APJ Consultancy. And more than anything else, sir identifies himself as a teacher, and I know he's a teacher at heart, and he's liked by hundreds and thousands of students all over. So, sir, we have a lot of questions for you. I'm not asking the questions. A lot of teachers and principals have asked. I'm going to just shoot it out to you. But before that, you can say a few words on NEP, and after that, we can shoot out the question to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Excuse me, sir, your mic is muted, sir.
Mic, you have to unmute your mic, sir.
Yeah. Hello, Pravina. Thank you for introducing me. Hello, my dear friends, those who are watching me through this medium as well as through the Facebook page of School Skies and my personal page. Everywhere there is a talk about national education policy and what is it, what are the contents, and I have been talking about this in this platform the last 1 month, and today the topic is something related to the teachers. What is there for the teachers in the NEP 2020? So before that, let me give a small brief. What is NEP and what are the salient features of NEP? What is expected from all the stakeholders, that is the parents and teachers and the management. And this is not the first time that NEP has been come out, and there are already a history of education policies, like we had Mudaliar Commission report, we had Radhakrishnan Commission on Education, and Gothari Commission report in 1966 to 68, and National Policy of Education 1986, and Program of Action 1992, and National Curriculum Framework 2005. So the last National Policy of Education NEP was in the year 1986. So after a long period of 34 years, the present government has come out with the NEP 2020, and this is something, in my opinion, it is productive in all the ways, and there are a lot of changes they are making over it. And the first change is, I do not know how many of you have seen the website of MHRD. Earlier it was called Ministry of Human Resource Development. Even now, when I'm talking, you can go to Google and type MHRD. You will be taken to the website. To your surprise, you can find now the department of MHRD has been changed to Ministry of Education. So the first change what the NEP has done, it has been implemented already, is the name of the ministry, MHRD, has been changed to Ministry of Education. So here is an answer for all of you, from when this NEP 2020 will be coming to effect. It has come into effect already. It is there already in the cards. That is number one. Number two is, there is a lot of structural changes has happened, and detailed discussion it gives. It consisting of 8 chapters. One is early childhood care and education. It is the foundation of learning, and fundamental literacy and numeracy, and curtailing dropouts and universal access to education, and curriculum and pedagogy in schools, teachers, equitable and inclusive education for all, efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes, and standard setting and accreditation of school education. So when you are talking about this,
so sorry to interrupt. There is some video playing in the background. I think the Facebook video is also running, so it's echoing back.
One minute. I come out, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So out of these 8 chapters, we are going to discuss in detail about the chapter called Teachers. And before going into that, what are the structural changes which has taken place in this? It is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. All these years, the pre-KG, LKG and UKG, these 3 classes, there is no one to control, neither the state government nor the central government. Nobody was showing their interest to control them. Now this present commission, the NCP, NEP 2020, has brought this preschool, LKG and UKG into the curriculum and taking class 1 and 2 from the primary, and they are called 5 years. Pre-KG, LKG, UKG, first standard and second standard. This is called the first 5 years. That is the fundamental year. And then 3, that is class 3, 4, 5. That is called primary. And then 6, 7, 8, another 3. That is called middle school. And then plus 4, that is 9, 10, 11, 12, which is called the secondary. So the moment you bring 11th and 12th into secondary, the next question in your mind, sir, then what will happen to higher secondary in state board schools or metric, pre-metric in other states, and senior secondary in CBSE stream? Now what will happen is, no school can call hereafter senior secondary school. For example, there is some school which is called senior secondary school, Krishnaswamy Senior Secondary School. Now all that senior secondary word has to disappear. Now every school will be known as a secondary school. That is the first answer for your question. Then second one is, what will happen if your school is having only up to 10th standard? Because the NEP 2020 says 8 semesters from 9, 10, 11, 12. So what will happen if your school is having only up to class 10? Yes, every school which are having up to class 10, necessarily they have to go for upgradation up to senior secondary level. So teachers, if you have a post-graduation, you have a chance in your own school to become a postgraduate teacher in your school in the years to come. That is a good news I have for all of you. And the second one is the name of every board. For example, Tamil Nadu Education Board, Andhra Metric Board, Karnataka Education Board, Central Board of Secondary Education, all of them will be called as boards of assessment. Every board will do the assessment, so they will be called as boards of assessment, and they will not be engaged in affiliation, in regulation, in curriculum and pedagogy and designs. They are going to form a separate body for this affiliation process. There are a lot of bodies are going to come. First, they are going to form a separate body for the 3, 5, and 8. Class 3, 5, and 8, there is going to be an examination. That's what the NEP 2020 says. Therefore, there will be a board called PAREC that will conduct the examination for class 3, 5, and 8. This is another challenging factor for all the teachers. So I thought, though teacher empowerment is the topic, so I thought you should know, every teacher should know that at the end of class 3 and 5 and 8, there is going to be a nationwide examination, at the national level examination, and that will be conducted by a single body, which is not going to be your board in which your school is affiliated, which will be conducted by a national body, PAREC, and it is going to set the question paper, and we have to wait for the guidelines, how the board is going to be set up, and what are its duties and responsibilities, and how it is going to conduct the examination, and who will correct the paper, whether the papers will be corrected by the same teachers or it will go to the next school. Because the policy is also talking about school complexes. CBSE school teachers and principals are very well aware about the Sagodya school complexes, and also recently the CBSE has come out with another new concept, hubs of learning school, hubs of learning. So they are having 5 to 7 schools together. So they are not talking about hubs of learning, the NEP 2020. They are talking about school complexes. So there might be a chance that the answer papers may be exchanged between the member schools of a school complex. So we need to wait for further instructions from the board. So this is another portion. And then about the teacher training and B.Ed and during the year when you are working, what are the training periods, how many hours of training you have to go. There are a lot of questions which have come. So for all this, I'll be giving answer. Already Dr. Praveena has pulled out from the registration more than 20-25 questions. So one by one I'll start answering, so that at the end of the session all of you will have some answer. And further, if you have any questions, you can type your question in the chat box. At the end of the session we'll try to answer it. Yes, Praveena, I am ready. You can shoot the questions.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I think most of the things you've elaborated. Nevertheless, I will pick up the few questions that were left out. So one is the new specific program for teacher education in accordance with 5+3+3+4+2. Other anything is there on that? Any highlights?
Yeah. Yes. What they are telling is now, as of now, we have a 3-year degree course, and then a B.Ed we have 2 years. Now what they are going to do is they are going to have an integrated B.Ed program of 4 years. So the child who is now in 11th, when he finishes his 12th, when he's joining college, if he intend to become a teacher, I think during that time, after 2 years, all the arts and science colleges will have a 4-year integrated course along with the B.Ed. So the child will be studying physics or chemistry or anything, or BCom. He will come out with BSc Ed or BA Ed or BCom Ed. That is number one. Number two, for the candidates, those who already finished their BA or MA, BCom or MCom or BSc or MSc, for them, they have to undergo a 2-year B.Ed course, that too in the same arts and science colleges, and they have to complete their B.Ed. Then only they are eligible to come to school education as a teacher. And in another 5 years' time, all the standalone B.Ed, M.Ed colleges will be closed, and all of them have to move out either to go and join with the nearest arts and science colleges. There are some colleges in the same campus. They have an arts and science college, they have a polytechnic, they have a B.Ed college, they have a M.Ed, etc. So now the B.Ed and M.Ed colleges have to close down, and all that will be merged with the existing science and arts colleges. So this is the new structure.
Okay. Sir, any comments on NPS, National Professional Standard for Teachers? Is there anything new out there for the teachers?
Yes, there is a lot of new things have come in that. That is, teachers are going to be a national professional standard for teachers, and they are going to define the state professional standard for teachers. They are going to give both national professional standard for teachers and the state professional standard for teachers. And they are going to give the indicators into two different categories. One is hard indicators, HARD, hard indicators, such as they are also telling the hard indicators are non-negotiable, no questions asked. You have to do it. Number one, attendance regularity. Number two, punctuality. Number three, financial proprietary. Number four, not using corporal punishment. Number five, mandating of attending all the school functions compulsorily. Now I can see the smiling faces of all the principals, because all the five points we are struggling, making attendance regularly, because there are teachers in every school taking lot of leave, and they say taking leave is our right, though the service condition says leave is not mandatory. It is not a right of, it is not the right, but teachers in the staff room, they talk about, I have 10 days of CL, why should I sit here? I'll apply CL and go. And also the punctuality, and we know 3 late, 1 permission, and then 4 permissions, half a day CL, and 8 permissions, 1 day CL, all that. And there are certain teachers, those who ready to forego their salary, loss of pay by coming late, because that becomes a habit for them. So that hereafter the teachers cannot do that. And then financial proprietary. It is like MLAs and MPs going for the election. Before the election, they have to declare what is their asset. Now, after some time, what is their asset? So like that, I think the government is going to come out with some policy. What are your assets before joining the profession, and what will be your asset after joining the profession? So in my opinion, indirectly, the government is trying to curb the practice of taking personal tuitions and gaining monetary benefit out of it. And then not using corporal punishment, that every principal is struggling, especially I pardon with the, if any teacher is also attending the my seminar, my webinar, the teachers, the principals are finding it very, very difficult with, especially with the language teachers and math teachers and physical education teachers. Only these 3 categories in every school are trying to give corporal punishment. Therefore, giving corporal punishment, not using corporal punishment is also one of the guidelines. And lastly, mandating of attending the school function regularly and school meetings regularly. These are all the 5 odd indicators. And the soft indicators are effective, effective planning and classroom preparation and procedure, and effective development of assessment of progress of students. It is very unfortunate that in today's scenario, most of the present generation teachers are thinking that just coming to the school and finishing the portion is my job. Whether the child is understood or not, whether it has gone to his mind or not, I am not bothered. I am here and get paid to finish the portion, which I have done it. But the NEP 2020 is very clear that the effective development of assessment of progress of the student, it is also one of the soft conditions for the teacher evaluation. So there are two categories. One is hard indicators and the second one is soft indicators. So based on these two indicators, the teachers are going to be evaluated. Yes, ma'am.
So a lot of people have asked this question, sir. Commenting on promotions, career path for teachers, any certifications possible, and to add on to that, how do you make continuous professional development reachable for teachers? So how are we in a holistic way helping them? Can you leave your thoughts on that?
When the government is given the indicators, hard indicators and soft indicators, they are going to link these indicators for the promotion. It very clearly says the National Professional Standard for Teachers, NPST, it will that is, the salary will not be given, the salary increase will not be linked to service. It will be based on the outcome of the NPST. I think in the fourth pay commission, we had one, if the principles, if you recollect the pay scale of the fourth pay commission, basic pay bar 120 bar EB 150. That is, once 1 year is over, then the teacher will get 120 as the increment. What is bar EB 150? That means efficiency bar. If the teacher is doing extremely well, then instead of giving 120 rupees as the increment, the school can give 150 rupees as increment. That is called efficiency bar. So now, but in the fifth and sixth and seventh pay commission, the efficiency bar they removed. They made once in a year 3% increment in the basic pay is mandatory. Now again, this NEP 2020 is bringing the efficiency bar. That means it is something one step more than fourth pay commission. There, that 120 rupees is mandatory. If you want 150 rupees, then you need to prove yourself. But here in the NEP 2020, it is not making the annual increment as mandatory. Increment will be given based on your performance, and if the performance is good according to the standard decided by the respective state government, or then only you'll get your increment. Otherwise, no increment.
So how to make this continuous professional development reachable for teachers or easy for teachers?
That also the NEP 2020 has come out with different ideas that they have targeted that every teacher should undergo 50 hours of training program, whether it is online or offline. And for every head teacher, that is for the principal, they also have to undergo 50 hours of training program per year. It is mandatory. This is the first and foremost step for expecting your promotion or your increment. And they said they are going to set up training institute in district wise, and they are also going to have a separate channel, separate board, separate channel for giving online teacher training program. I think the central government is very clear, unless otherwise the teachers are well trained, then the curricular outcome may not be good. Therefore, they very clearly mentioned that they will set up a separate portal for teacher training programs online and also offline. So it will come out from the respective boards, and also the MHRD in their website. Now what they are having, Swayam portal, there are a lot of 3 or 4 portals are there for teachers training program. So the government is going to set up a separate body for giving training program for the teachers.
Yeah. So, sir, another question is, any suggestions on alternate career path for teachers? Because a lot of them have asked that as well.
Career path as teachers, alternative, I don't think is there any other alternative. What we feel, that principles we feel is only when they're not getting any other job, people used to come for the teaching job. So from teaching job, I don't think they can go for any other job, because as of now, my opinion, personal opinion is the teacher's job is the safest job in the country today, because we have seen, we have read in papers also that more than 37% of IT employees have been sacked during the lockdown period. But we have never seen any news that these many teachers have been sent out of the school. They are doing online teaching, whether they are getting their full salary or 50% of salary, whatever the case may be. But we have never come across any case that teachers have been retrenched from the services. Therefore, in my personal opinion, the present teaching job is the best job. They should not look upon going for some other job.
Very, very, very heartening and nice to hear that, sir. And I completely second that, because I think during this period, because I started the webinar saying teachers have been the warriors this time, we've seen a huge amount of pay cuts and employees acting across many industries, software and other retail, FMCG, everything. But I really think education to a large extent, with the help of digitization, has stood the test. I think we should really give it to the teachers.
No, actually, whatever be the development in any country, no country can survive without a teacher.
Teacher. So true. So to teach,
because teachers have to teach, teachers have to teach the present generation and the future generation. Therefore, as long as there are going to be kids in this universe, then teachers have to be there. I don't think the teachers can ever think of shifting over once they come to a teaching profession.
Wonderful, sir. So thank you. I think that adds a lot of confidence to the teachers out there, and it really makes them feel proud and good to be doing such an impactful job of creating all other professions. I think teaching is one that creates every other profession in the world. So thank you for those nice words, sir. So before we move on, any final advice that you have, sir? I think you've told most of it. Anything final that you want to share?
The NEP is also giving some light on. Now there are a lot of questions whether the IITians or those who studied the BE, electronics and engineering, whether they can come to a teaching profession. They have given some clearance on that, that those who have completed their 4-year degree course in any discipline, they can complete 1-year certificate course in B.Ed, and they can come to a teaching profession in the line in which they have taken 1-year specialization of B.Ed. Suppose after finishing their BE mechanical or BE electrical and electronics, and if they've taken English and mathematics in 1-year B.Ed degree course, and they can come as an English teacher or a math teacher. Therefore, why I'm telling this, there is going to be a threat for the present teacher generation that the engineers, those who have lost the job from IT industry, they can evade your teaching profession by doing 1-year B.Ed course. So better be careful and do your job sincerely and try to get good name from your management.
Thank you for those final tips as well, sir. So I think digitization has also made teachers also very tech savvy today. So that's something I was just thinking of. And so that was Dr. Ajit Prasad Jain for us, sharing a lot of tips on teacher empowerment in NEP and generally what NEP says as well. So friends, so finally, I would like to share a bit of my thoughts. So I am just going to quickly run you through what is digital empowerment for teachers. Is there anything specific that NEP says for teachers? So we all know that empowering teachers to embrace digital revolution. I would say this is a revolution right now. It is so pertinent today. And the pandemic has clearly shown that to us, and it is definitely time that all of us, the teachers, step up to embrace technology. And so what does the NEP say as far as technology is concerned? So the NEP is talking about equitable education, so where there is no digital divide and education driven by technology. So it's coming up with a National Education Technology Forum, which is going to be giving a lot of recommendations on online teaching, online education, and there's a huge stress or importance given to going digital in the classroom, which has already been there. But I would say this is a drive. This pandemic has kind of precipitated a huge drive of technology. So let me ask you a question. So who do you think is a digital teacher? So any teacher who is trained in ICT skills, who can ably use digital tech tools to some extent in her classroom and kind of engage her kids or engage the student, is ideally a digital teacher. So why should we focus on ICT? Why should a teacher ever focus on communication tools or information tools? So because it offers new ways of teaching the same things. So you get the engagement of the students. Next, it enables you to focus on personalized learning, because the assessments, the way it is done, it allows us to gauge every single student. More importantly, it saves time in lesson planning and administrators, because now the teachers are multitasking. They are doing A to Z in the school curriculum and other things. So it's important that they save their time by using digital tools. And also it offers a very comprehensive approach to assessment. More than anything else, the bureaucratic burden that the teachers face is completely reduced when you have a digital assistant. So consider a digital tool as an assistant to a teacher. So now, before we dive into the other things, what are the things that teachers or schools in general will keep in mind while you go online? So number one, it's important to choose the right platform with security in place, because we are getting the kids onto the platform. It is so important to have a secure platform for the children and to have all things in place. So when we go transition from the offline to the online, so this is a challenge that we've seen a lot of schools face. So this, I think the teachers have to get trained, because teaching offline is not going to be the same as teaching online. And then sticking on to the government prescribed time limits is going to be very important. And most important I've seen is partnership with parents. So getting the confidence of the parents, getting the confidence of the students. So engaging the kids online by teaching them what is digital etiquette and how to actually navigate through the online classes and cooperate with the teachers. All this plays a very major role in the success of online classes as well. So creating lesson plans in the digital way, recording your content, because you're going to be forming a huge repository which you're going to be leaving with the school and all teachers put together. There's going to be a huge digital curriculum that you're going to be bringing up. So recording and storing that in the cloud is also very, very important. And decentralizing work. So if there is just going to be one person or two person who's heading the entire digital momentum, it's not definitely going to work. So all the teachers have to be equally involved, equally trained, and they have to run the show. So these things will make a huge impact when you go online. So we at Schoolskies we are very happy to share that we've been Gold Certified partners for more than 4 years, and this year we have signed up as Microsoft Education Global Training Partners. So we are authorized to train teachers and schools and certify them to get Microsoft Innovative Educator certificates. So that's what we've been doing throughout this lockdown. So we've onboarded a number of schools onto the Team Schoolskies platform, as well as trained a number of teachers, starting from schools in Tirupati to Chennai to Cochin. A lot of schools have taken up this trainings. I mean, the teachers have taken up the trainings. So I'm also very glad to share that we've done a lot of free webinars. So Dr. Ajit came up with the idea of educating teachers and schools on what are the platforms and different hiccups that schools will face when they go online. So we conduct this almost every day. We have a webinar at 5 p.m. So I'm also very glad to say we've trained close to 2,000 teachers, so across 30 to 40 schools in during this pandemic alone. So this is in addition to the existing schools. So this part is about the training and certificates. So we've got a number of training topics, but across the board, like Microsoft Teams, Office 365, OneNote, all this is being widely used, and this is where we've certified a lot of teachers, especially during the last 3 months, close to 2,000 teachers, like I shared with you. And so this is about the certificates. For those who do not know what MIE stands for, it is called a Microsoft Innovative Educator. So you may ask me, so madam, what is the benefit of becoming a MIE or a Microsoft Innovative Educator? So number one, your school nominates you for this, and school is going to be at a huge benefit because they are going to be proud that all the teachers are Microsoft certified teachers. Next, it's a professional development for the teachers, which is going to reflect very, very good on your CV. And of course, you're going to be sharing knowledge with world-renowned educators. So today we've all seen that there are no boundaries. So we can kind of interact with educators across the world, learn their best practices and put them across in our own schools. So you can be part of a lot of special events and be part of a global education community. So these are some of the benefits I've highlighted, though there's a lot more for becoming an MIE. So this is a sample example of a certificate, how it will look like. It has got a Microsoft badge and signed very much by their president of Microsoft. So this is something that can be a value add to the teachers as well as the students. So each of your teachers can take this e-certificate from us. So next, you can ask me, what do I do after I become an MIE? Does it stop with that, or do I have a learning path? Yes, of course, you have a learning path. So these are the different paths that you can take on once you take the basic certificate. This is all available at education.microsoft.com. You can go over and start paths like creativity. You can do inclusive classrooms where you can learn how to teach challenged kids. Then there is 365 Teacher Academy and OneNote Teacher Academy, a number of courses. Each of this calls for a certain amount of commitment and you get a badge at the end of completing this course. So this is something very, very nice because a lot of schools in Pondicherry and Vellore have used OneNote. So for those who are already using OneNote, so I'm sure you know it's a collaborative tool and it can help you collaborate with your students and internally with teachers and also to store your own notes. Apart from that, this is also a great tool for your maths. It works like a maths tutor where you type in an equation and it gives you the kind of steps. So this kind of makes maths teaching very, very engaging online. So please do take the time to go through this OneNote if you're already on Teams. If not, yes, please do understand that path. So way forward as far as what is given in NEP or in general is going to be digitization. Improvement of digital infrastructure is a big goal for the government, and online learning needs should be emphasized in the schools. And definitely the government is looking at parity between online and offline courses. So it's not like we are going to be online like how it is today completely. It's going to be parity where you have blended learning. That's probably the way forward, and it's also very heartening for edtech firms like us because there's a lot of stress on innovative solutions and there's a great encouragement for getting out a lot of teaching digital solutions into the market. So I would like to leave you all with this thought that technology, of course, can never ever replace great teaching, but it can be a great tool in the hands of teachers and it can make great teachers even better and greater. So I hope and wish you all a very, very successful teaching journey to all the teachers, principals out there. And again, thank all of you on behalf of APJ Consultancy, School Skies and Microsoft. And our motto is to help you succeed, to handhold you and to kind of improvise yourself on learning more and more of digital tools. So I would like to invite you to join us to learn, share and explore. We have webinars or rather small sessions every day at 5 p.m. It's free sessions on best practices, how you could take the certifications and more details on what you could actually go through with Teams or OneNote or the other learning paths. So you can leave your registrations on this number or email schoolsupport@schoolskies.com, or you can even leave your questions with Jeet at apjedu.in. So in case you want a number, this is the number out there, 9994021195. So I recommend you take a snapshot of this and please don't hesitate to write to us. And we are eagerly looking forward to all your questions now. So if there is any questions, we'd love to take those questions from the audience. Any questions there?
Sir, your mic is muted, sir.
Yes, Pravina. Though there is no question, only one question in the chat box, but in my personal WhatsApp window, My
Lots.
friends have sent some questions.
Okay.
So I will give one by one.
Okay.
The first question is, now the NEP has come and what is the next step? Now, based on the National Education Policy 2020, NCERT will roll out NCF 2020, National Curriculum Framework 2020. And on the other day, our Honorable Minister for Education, no more HRM, no more HRD Minister, Minister for Education, Government of India, has announced that by March 2021, the NCF 2020 will be out. So once the NCF 2020 is out, and then the respective boards, whether it is ICSE or a CBSE or Tamil Nadu government or Andhra government or Karnataka government, they will frame their educational policies according to their state. So we need to wait for the CBSE to come out with its own action plan. That is the answer for the first question. The second question is about the 3-language formula. What is that? Why people are making huge noise in Tamil Nadu? They are asking. I'll make it very clear. The 3rd language formula, what has been introduced by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, it was Hindi will be the 3rd language for those are taken other than Hindi as a 2nd language. And if Hindi is your 2nd language, then you need to take your regional language as a 3rd language. That means at any point of time from 6 to 8, at one level, the Hindi is compulsory. Now, the present NEP 2020 has clearly mentioned that out of 3 languages, 1 foreign language and any other 2 Indian classical language. In the Schedule 8th of our Constitution, they are defining 23 languages. We have more than that. We have more than 63 languages in our country. But out of which, in Schedule 8 of our Constitution, 23 languages are classified as classical language. Therefore, any child, any board, any school can opt any 1 foreign language as 1 language and remaining 2 languages from the 23 languages. That means it could be Tamil and Sanskrit, it could be Tamil and Hindi, it could be Malayalam and Hindi, it could be Malayalam and Tulu, Malayalam and Marathi. So the schools can have, or the respective boards can have a combination of these 2 subjects, the 2 languages. They are not made Hindi compulsory as a 1 language at any point of time from 6 to 8. This should be made very clear to your parents and your teachers. So therefore, there is no question of people making a noise that indirectly they are going to bring Hindi because of 3rd language. And also the question of Sanskrit, yes, of course, the NEP 2020 emphasize on learning of Sanskrit, but they say learning of Sanskrit right from the school level to college level should be encouraged. That's what they say. They never said that Sanskrit has to be taught as any 1 language. They say Sanskrit is, it has got a culture. It is one of the ancient language of our India. Therefore, promotion of Sanskrit either in the school education up to the college education is desirable. So that's what they say. And another question what people are asking is about the other question what they're asking about the medium of instruction up to primary or middle school. That is making sleepless night for teachers and as well as for the principals. It is very clear. They say the medium of instruction may be the mother tongue or regional language, preferably up to primary level and desirable up to class 8. They never said the medium of instruction shall be the regional language. Therefore, It is only a suggestive in nature, and this is not new, my dear friends. It is not new. You can find this in the previous Mudaliar Commission. You can find the same recommendation in Radhakrishnan Commission. You can find the same wordings in Kothari Commission. You can find the same in the National Education Policy in 1986 and in the NCF 2005. Therefore, there's nothing new in the medium of instruction. Every commission and every education policy is speaking about it, but as usual, we never implemented it. So we have to wait and watch how the NCF 2020, that is NCF 2020 is going to come out. Now, then only we can say what is the future course of action. In a nutshell, I could say, now only the baby is born. So don't ask which college I have to admit. The baby has to crawl, stand, walk, and go to school and go to finish their 10th and 12th. Then only they have come to college. Therefore, a lot of time is available for us to wait for further instructions from the Government of India. So now we have to wait for the NCF 2020 to come out. Then only we can discuss. I think once the NCF 2020 has come, then in the month of March or maybe from April, school skies have to arrange a program like this every day to clear more doubts from the principals and teachers. And rather at that time, parents may also can join.
Wonderful. We're always at your service, sir. So anything that creates impact is what we would want to do. So thank you, Ajit sir. I think you've really taken the time off to address so many questions. And for the audience there, that's not sir's customized background. He's in his native, in his temple. And he's taken the time off despite his schedule there at his temple. So thank you once again, Dr. Ajit sir, and thank you, madam. So from Rudrappa Swami School, I think it was wonderful having you on the show, and a lot of learning from you. I think especially with the curriculum and your touch screens, technology, it was really a lot of learning for us from you, ma'am. And all the teachers, educators, principal, thank you all for your precious time, and hope to see you all soon.
So here is a message for all the teachers, that don't say that signal is not available, sir, how the parents can come online class, all that. So I'm also in a village and no signal in my house. So I came, I searched with my mobile where the signal is available. Then I found my temple full of signal. So I came to my temple with my laptop, and I'm addressing all of you from a remote village near Pondicherry. Thank you, Pramila.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pravina. Yeah.